Dr. Jacob Matthews had delivered hundreds of babies in his 20-year career, but nothing could have prepared him for the miracle that unfolded one cold December night in a small hospital in Nebraska. It was past midnight when the emergency call came in. A young couple, Ethan and Sarah Reynolds, had rushed to the hospital in a panic. Sarah was in labour 3 weeks early, and something wasn't right. Her contractions were weak, and she had a deep sense of unease. She gripped Ethan's hand tightly as she was wheeled into the delivery room, her breathing shallow and her forehead glistening with sweat. Dr. Matthews was immediately called in. He quickly assessed Sarah and noticed that the baby's heartbeat was faint. The nurses exchanged nervous glances, sensing the urgency of the situation. The fetal monitor beeped irregularly, a warning sign that sent chills down everyone's spine. "This baby isn't responding," Dr. Matthews murmured, his voice heavy with concern. Sarah, her face pale, whispered, "Please, doctor, save my baby." Ethan, standing beside her, could do nothing but hold her trembling hand. As the labour progressed, something shocking happened. The baby stopped moving. No signs of distress, no struggle, nothing. It was as if the unborn child had given up. Dr. Matthews had seen many complications, but this was different. It was as though life was slipping away before it had even begun. The medical team sprang into action. The heart monitor showed dangerously low readings, and the baby wasn't resisting birth. Time was running out. Dr. Matthews prepared for an emergency C-section, but then he hesitated. Something inside him, something beyond medical science, urged him to stop. The room was filled with tension, the air thick with desperation. The nurses stood frozen, watching their lead doctor, waiting for his decision. But instead of continuing, Dr. Matthews did something unexpected. He knelt down beside the delivery table. Closing his eyes, he placed his hands together and began to pray. "Dear God," he whispered, his voice trembling, "I have done everything I can. This child needs you now. If there is a miracle left in your hands, please grant it now." For a brief moment, silence filled the room. The only sounds were the soft beeping of the machines and Sarah's laboured breathing. The medical team watched in stunned silence as their doctor, a man of science, put his faith in something beyond medicine. Then it happened. The fetal monitor let out a loud, steady beep, then another and another. The baby's heart rate was stabilizing. The screen that once displayed fading life now pulsed with renewed energy. Sarah gasped, clutching Ethan's hand. "I feel him!" she cried out. "I feel my baby moving." Dr. Matthews opened his eyes in shock and quickly stood up. He placed his hands on Sarah's stomach and felt the tiny kicks, strong, determined, full of life. "Get ready," he commanded. "This baby is coming now." The team jumped into action, and within minutes the room was filled with the sound of new life. A tiny cry, fragile yet powerful, echoed through the delivery room as Sarah's baby boy was born. Tears streamed down her face as she reached for her son. "He's here," she sobbed. "He's really here." Dr. Matthews let out a deep breath, his hands still shaking from the overwhelming experience. He stared at the newborn, healthy and alive, and knew deep in his heart that this was more than just medicine. This was a miracle. As the baby was placed into Sarah's arms, Ethan looked at Dr. Matthews with gratitude in his eyes. "You didn't just save our son," he said. "You believed when we had lost all hope." Dr. Matthews glanced at the monitors, still showing the baby's strong heartbeat, and nodded. "Sometimes," he said, "faith is the most powerful medicine of all." That night, the entire hospital staff spoke in hushed voices about what they had witnessed. Some called it divine intervention, others an unexplained medical phenomenon. But one thing was certain: what happened in that delivery room was nothing short of a true miracle. And in the arms of his mother, baby Noah, a name meaning rest and comfort, slept peacefully, his tiny heart beating strong, proof that sometimes the impossible becomes possible.